Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you my review of the Peak Design Travel Backpack. And so this is a 45-liter backpack, and it has a lot of the kind of signature. When I talk about Peak Design stuff, I often refer about the design element. Really there is a lot of engineering that goes into here that into their products that shows cleverness in the way that they interact with, kind of the whole ecosystem of what Peak Design does. And that's no different with their big travel backpack here. So 45-liter backpack, though designed to be a carry-on bag. And so first I'm going to show you the bag itself, then we'll look at the different ways you can configure it inside, because kind of the current trend that I'm seeing with a lot of bag makers is moving towards a more customizable interior to allow you, instead of having multiple backpacks, to have one bag that you can configure in a whole lot of different ways. So one thing I do want to highlight here is that right here at the top, there's actually an area where you can pinch in and you can actually clip it in. If sometimes when you're traveling and there's you're trying to put something in an overhead bin, and because of the curve of the actual plane, there's not a whole lot of room in there. So if you don't have it like packed to the gills, you can actually compress it down. That gives it a different profile, a more compact profile. And then of course you can go to the other extreme and you can pop it out. Like some bags or suitcases even, there's also an option here where you can zip out a portion to expand the amount of space inside. So you can see if I were to take this zipper and zip across, I could compact that area down. And once again, you can kind of configure it according to what you're going to carry inside. And so if you want the maximum amount of space, you unzip that all around and you open up the ability to expand. Now, one thing about this Peak Design backpack is that there are pockets everywhere. I don't know how they managed to squeeze so many pockets into everything, and I don't even know if I'll catch them all in this because they literally are everywhere. But from the exterior here, you have a nice, very convenient pocket that is a good place, if you're maybe traveling to either put your phone, your keys, your wallet, your passport, if you want them to be accessible, not so much if you're carrying around and you're worrying about those things being stolen, but more if you're in kind of a scenario where you want easy access to that. On the front of the bag, there's actually a variety of anchor points, and hidden under a magnetic pouch here, you actually have straps that you can crisscross if you want to carry something even larger along the outside. And so that's a cool feature there. Now you actually have three different options for how to access the interior of the bag. And so that's something that I think is really cool here. And so first of all, you have the option of accessing it from the front here. And so inside, if you have it configured with this interior portion zipped in, let me just zip it in so then I'll show it to you. You have the ability to have a top storage space that is separate from the interior space. And so if this is zipped all the way up, you've got access to a top mesh pouch here that is flexible and allows you to sort that space. There's also an additional pouch here to put things in. Then on the front flap itself, again, additional mesh pouch here, along with some organizing area. For example, you could stretch it out. You could put, if you're doing camera stuff, you could do batteries there. You have room for like pens or different accessories, all in that mesh pouch there, and which again is zippable. Here, there's an additional pouch here where you can put different materials of any kind. And then if you have this expanded, now if you have it in the contracted mode, this interior space here becomes, fairly tight. But if you're in the expanded space, you actually have the depth of, that whole zipped portion to store additional items there in the very front of the bag that, maybe you can have easier access to. And so cool stuff on that front. As per usual, you've got straps everywhere. And so if it's, gone into an overhead bin, you've got a strap there. You have got straps along the front. You've got straps along each side. So basically whatever scenario you're in fact, we've even got one here on the bottom. And so basically all points all around, you have places where you can grab on and get a hold of the bag and maneuver it. Here on the side, there is a nice flexible deep pouch that you could utilize, and all over you'll find that there are anchor points where you can hook on to different things. Now here's one of those hidden pouches I'm referring to. You've got this expandable space. You can zip down, and inside this flap itself, there is enough depth there to put something like a passport or whatever to store in there, and that is duplicated on the opposite side as well. So you have both that same pouch like that, and you have the interior hidden pouch there on that front. And so lots of there all along the outside of the material. This is a weather resistant material, high grade nylon, very durable, very easy to clean. By the way, they come in a few different color choices. You can go with the traditional black. This is called Sage, and I went with that. When I was choosing, because basically everybody's got a black backpack. This is something different. So I wanted to take a look at this one. Going to the bottom of the bag, a few other interesting things is, again, you've got a little pouch here where you could hide something, ID type information. Now, one thing I really like is that, once again, there are magnetic portions that will allow you to disappear all of your straps. And so just leaving a handle there to hang on to. But once again, if you kind of expand that out, there's both your regular strap, which as always is set up to be used with other Peak Design products. Capture Pro, Capture, you could put on there to clip a camera on the outside. There is also, unlike some bags like this that don't have a waist clip, there is also a nicely padded waist section here. And once again, it's just really clever. There's a zipped portion here right on their pouch where you can put things. On the other side, it is set up for Capture Pro also, or anything else that you want to hook onto. And so you've got a nice padded waist portion. Then on the main straps themselves, you have got their, kind of their typical way of attaching your chest tension, and you've got a wide range. This whole section on either side, you can maneuver that up or down to make sure that the bag is riding in the proper position. And then, of course, all of this can be hidden once again in such a way to where it makes the bag sleeker. It, just keeps things out of the way when you don't want them. Now, moving on to accessing. We've already looked at how you can access the top, and how that there is an independent pouch here that you can open up and look inside. But you can also zip that portion away, and you could have access into the full depth of the bag from the top. So that's useful there. But particularly if you're a photographer, which this is something that they actually think about in the Peak Design, and I'm going to access it from this side for a reason I'll show you in just a moment. You also have side access. So I'm just going to zip this so it's not dangling in our way. You have side access, and so if you have one of their camera modules, which we'll look at in just a second, you can actually side access the bag. And as per usual, the way that they design these bags is that they're designed so that they can swivel, and you can side access the interior of the space like that, which again is particularly handy if you're a photographer and you're wanting to access equipment that is stored inside there. Now, the reason why I noted that that I only have one side of these accessible is that, they're also thinking about the fact that you may be traveling in some situations where you want your interior space secured. And so you wouldn't want a thief to have access to the most logical place to get inside, which would be one of these side pouches here. And so you'll see that this zipper is actually secured. Now, if we put the bag down on its face and open it up here, I will also note that I've secured onto these rings. You have an option of, you can actually secure their straps, and this is true on basically all of their bags, where these can, it's not foolproof, but what it does do is add an extra step, particularly if a thief would be unfamiliar with your bag. They can't just grab and yank the zipper. If it's locked down, they can't move it unless there is some extra effort that is put there to loosen all of that. So if we open from the back is the most easy way to access the interior of the bag. And so this is kind of the rear side of that zipped portion that we looked at a moment ago from the top. And I will note on this side of the bag, there's also another zipped mesh portion that you can access. You can actually access the stuff that you zipped in from the front. And so there, and then there's also a dedicated space you can access here in that flap itself. So, I mean, like I said, there are flaps everywhere. But you'll see here that I've actually taken the zipper inside, and there are these kind of mounting points where you can wrap the zipper around from the outside, which will completely prevent anybody from accessing from the side your actual pouch in there, or the side of your backpack. So if you're just wanting to use wide open space, you've actually got a pretty fair amount of space. It's a 45-liter bag, so lots of room in there. On the main back strap, we have got the padded protected portion where you can put a laptop, I believe up to a 15-inch laptop. There's also a secondary pouch in here where you could also fit a tablet or, you know, e-reader, something similar to that. And so accessing the interior of the bag, you have easy access to everything that's in here. I'll also note inside there are all kinds of different anchor points that are designed where you can actually secure in different things, like, let's say, if you're using the different camera pouches. So we'll take a look quickly at the primary one, which is the camera pouch for storing inside. Now, they have like small, medium, large of the different kind of cubes. And you can look on the website, there's different ways of kind of securing all of that and you know, kind of deciding what's going to fit right in your space. Now, first of all, about the camera pouch, and this is, by the way, is the medium camera cube is what they call it. I'm going to compare quickly to another one of these type bags that I have. And so, you know, the overall dimensions of the pouch are not dissimilar, but there's one big factor as a photographer that makes a difference. And that is, you'll see it's not by a large margin, but there is enough additional space here that some lenses that will not fit in this particular pouch standing upright, you know, where they're taking less amount of room. Now, this is not one of them, it barely fits, but I've got other lenses that would not stand upright in this pouch that will fit inside of the camera cube from Peak Design. And so that actually makes it a little bit more useful when it comes to that, because you can actually fit some different pieces of gear in there. So taking a quick look at the camera cube itself, it has got their kind of typical design of dividers that are designed in such a way that they can actually be folded down. You can stack things in different ways. They've got their kind of a very unique way of dividing the space, and obviously it's flexible, everything can be moved around. You're I'm sure familiar with that. They also have this pouch right here that can be zipped on and moved around in different places. It's just, you know, another good place to store things. These are some of the clips that can help to secure this inside the actual bag itself. We'll look at that in just a second. But this is all Velcroed in, and so it can be stored in different spots. You can divide that space up as you like. But here's where things get interesting when looking at it from the outside. You've obviously seen, you know, the top portion that I've just zipped and opened, but the camera pouch can also be, camera cube can also be opened from either side, making it a side access type bag. And so obviously if we are working in this situation where I've got it, let's say, stored inside of here, I'm using the bag, I want to access my camera, I can zip open, and there is this bag, you know, or cube as I call it, inside here, and I can side access and pull out a camera. Oh, look at this, I found the new Canon EOS RP in there. And so you can store things like that. So as a photographer, it obviously makes more sense in terms of accessing your gear. Now, another thing is that they have put a lot of loops everywhere. So that has a couple of purposes. Number one, you can use these for securing in with the clips. If you want to distribute your weight, maybe, you know, you want to keep your weight up high and you want to put it towards the top of the bag, you can actually use these different clips to secure the bag and attach it to corresponding clips inside here that will hold it in a certain space and help secure your gear. You can then lock that down, and so that it's not going to move around on you. The other thing, though, with all these loops is that they're designed to where you can also then throw on, if you have again, it's about working with other things within the ecosystem. You can actually add on some of their anchors, as I've done here. Then you can grab one of their straps. This is the Slide Light strap, which is my kind of go-to strap for most of my cameras. And you can clip those onto the anchor point, and you can then use this case as an actual sling bag and use it to where you can access on either side. You can set it up to where you can access cameras, lenses, whatever. And so, again, just extending the usefulness of the product itself by leveraging the functionality of each individual piece. And so once again, very cool, very clever when it comes to that. Another thing that I do like, however, obviously that's in a pinch, that's a nice option, but it's not a purpose-designed carry bag. But I do like the way that if I have got this in here, and let's say I'm traveling, it also works out perfectly in this space. This is their everyday Sling Bag 5L, which I use all the time, just as, when I'm just carrying a camera and lens or a few lenses. But it fits in here just fine with these two things. What's useful about that, particularly as a photographer, is that a lot of times when I arrive at a destination, I'm carrying a lot of gear to the destination, and then say if I'm at a hotel or whatever and I'm wanting to go out to shoot, I don't want to carry the whole backpack. So when I get to my destination, the ability to have this along, to have stored stuff in it when I brought it down, and then to have a very purposeful sling bag, that fits in here very nicely, also another nice option. So beyond that, here's a look at some of the other options. I don't have all of them here. You can get a variety of different ways. They sell packing cubes, and so this is more of a soft-sided, flexible thing. A larger one you could put clothes into. In this case, you could fit things more like socks or underwear or, whatever, t-shirts, but you're certainly not packing a suit into something like this. But, and it has multiple pouches, that can be accessed in different ways. Interior spaces, you can zip it out to expand it like all these other things to make it larger. And so you can go more compact. You can also stretch it out to where it becomes much bigger. And so that's one of the options there. This is their wash bag or toiletry type bag. So I didn't really want to pack these, but I brought them along. So inside here in the wash pouch, lots of mesh, lots of zippered portions, kind of all the stuff that you would expect. And even inside the zippered portions, there are more mesh dividers. And so you can actually organize and put things into place. There is a shallow middle space here where you can clip that down, and you could put a razor, toothbrush, things like that in there. On the other side, another large pouch and mesh portions, designed and so that you can not just, throw everything into a pouch, but actually organize it in there, which for some of you, you're just going to throw stuff in there anyway. That's pointless to you. Other people, you're very particular and you're going to like that. We've also got a tech pouch here. Once again, it's designed to where you can actually strap onto that, and it's got the anchor points. You can zip this open, and inside the tech pouch, you've got room for all kinds of stuff. I mean, just all kinds of individual stretchy pockets and places to put any number of things. It is full of dividers, and also it's got zippered portions inside here. And so in case you have, say something in particular, money or things where you don't want them bouncing around, but it's full of divided places to put all these in. So as I said, you can design the space in the bag how you want. It's got a lot of flexibility on how you carry, both in the straps and the chest tensioner, also in the waist, to make sure that you're distributing the weight appropriately. And of course, you have options because you can anchor inside where you actually put your stuff. You can access from a variety of different positions. And it's designed to take wear and tear, and if you need more weather resistance than what the weatherproof exterior does, you can purchase a separate rain overall hood to cover that. There's lots of options to go with that. Now, in conclusion, looking at the price itself runs for the bag runs $299, and then The price beyond, you know, that depends on kind of what you're going to put in there. So for example, the camera cube that I just showed you, that medium camera cube, that's going to set you back around 50 bucks. And, you know, prices will vary depending upon the size and complexity of what you put in there. The advantage, of course, at the end of the day is, as I said from the beginning, you can actually have one bag that you multi-purpose for a lot of different functions. And so if that's something that appeals to you, then I would recommend that you take a look at the Peak Design Everyday Travel Bag. I'll throw a linkage in the description down below. Peak Design does have a deal, by the way, that if you buy the bag and you buy a couple of pouches, you actually get 10% off of everything when it's in the cart. So that helps you to, if you're wanting to buy it as something complete, you can drop the price down a little bit. Anyway, look in the description and there is linkage there to access that for yourself and to take a further look at that. And then also beyond that, you can find my typical links to follow me on social media, to become a patron, and my patrons get early access to upcoming content along with other goodies. And of course, if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.